Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. So just yesterday, I got a question from one of my viewers, and it had to do with XRP, and will it moon if it's only planned to be used as a bridge currency? And this is a question we've heard before. You know, people are very concerned that their XRP isn't going to rise in price, because if it's only used as a bridge currency, the transactions will be quick, or the fact that banks and financial institutions will just hold XRP internally, and the price will just kind of stay where it is. Well, I'm going to get to that in a sec. I wanted to address this first. It kind of leads into the point I'm going to talk about later on. This is from XRP Ferguson at TFergTrades on Twitter. Sent me this tweet, and so he links to Han Solo at @1HanSolo on Twitter. MoneyGram exec predicts crypto takeover after internal tests with Ripple. And so this is a slightly older article, but it had to do with MoneyGram and how the executive talked about Ripple using cryptocurrency to source liquidity. This was from June 9th, so this was from a week before the deal was inked. Okay, nobody knew this at this point. They knew MoneyGram was testing RippleNet, just doing test pilots, but then finally by June 19th, it was revealed that Ripple invested $50 million in MoneyGram and that they partnered up. So this from about a week before that. And he does discuss the idea of cryptocurrencies essentially changing the way the market works, because the on-demand liquidity is what's crucial for cross-border remittances. Okay, guys, I'll link these in the description if you want to read them further, but I want to move on to this. XRP Hodler for life, that's at XRP for the win on Twitter, tagged me and a few other YouTubers in this. I don't know if anybody else made a video on this, but I'm going to address this right now. So thanks so much at XRP for the win for tagging me in this. And so he has a concern about XRP not mooning. XRP is only positioned to be used as a bridge currency, not held en masse long term. Therefore, no moon? I'm assuming that's a question. Well, here's the theory behind this, and at least this is how I understand how this is going to work. Everything in life that is tradable has a certain value attached to it. So, you know, we have the stock market, we have the Forex market, we have gold, we barter goods and services sometimes on more of a localized community scale. So people attach a value to every single thing, you know, whether you want to pay $1,000 for a new iPhone or $1,500 or how much it costs, whatever. That is a value attached to that piece of technology that people are willing to pay. If nobody was willing to pay that price, the price would go down, let me tell you. Okay, same with stocks, right? Apple stock back in 1985 was trading at about $4 to $5. Now, if you knew that Apple was going to do the things it was going to do 20 years down the road, wouldn't you load up on Apple stock in 1985? Well, hindsight is 2020. That is a luxury that we can base a decision on now, but in 1985, we didn't know that. So people were trading Apple stock at $4 to $5 thinking, okay, the company's doing all right, and the stock is worth about that. Okay, the same thing with gold, right? We attach a value to gold. And in 2012, we saw gold really shoot up, and it was hitting all-time highs in about 2012, 2013, around there. And then it came right back down. So I want to kind of attribute this to gold first, and I'm going to get there, guys, and I want to really kind of explain this. Gold prices benefited a rising inflation and low interest rates, resulting in negative real interest rates. This made saving unattractive, while yields and competing safe havens such as a U.S. Treasury bond remained very low. Furthermore, escalating concerns about U.S. debt and in turn the outlook for the U.S. economy pushed down the dollar in which gold is priced. This means that in addition to being seen as an increasingly risk-free and effective store of value, gold's appeal as an alternative currency was also rising. So people were scared about U.S. debt, the economy, inflation, the dollar, so many things. And historically, gold has always been that safe haven that people could dump their money into in order to protect their net worth from getting devalued. And so when more people are buying gold, the value of gold rises because we have a finite amount of gold in this world. Theoretically, I mean, we could dig more and possibly find more gold under the Earth's surface, but the idea is that gold is a finite resource, and the perceived value of gold around 2012 was higher because more people were buying it, because more people were scared about the economy. It's a perception thing. As you can see here by this chart, gold came right back down 2014, 2015, hitting lows in 2016, the same price that it was trading at in about 2010. So if you held gold in 2010, saw it go up, didn't sell, saw it come back down, you'd be even Steven by 2016. So gold would hold the exact same value in 2010 that it did in 2016, and you'd still be holding it. You wouldn't have made any money. You wouldn't have lost any money. Okay, this is the perceived value of gold. And it's all essentially based on supply and demand. So back in 2012, I created a video tutorial series called The Intelligent Day Trader. I didn't release it, but I still have the videos kicking around. I was toying with the idea of releasing it on this channel, the Working Money channel. Guys, I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to show you a clip from my video. So this is just a video that I made years ago. My voice is kind of weird in it. So, I'm not going to actually show you a clip with volume here, but I am going to just expand this video a little bit and just kind of give you an idea of supply and demand. I give an example here. So to keep it really simple, apples. Okay, we're looking at apples here, and you have an apple stand, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 apples, but you have 100 people who are lining up at your apple stand to buy apples. What do you think the price of apples will be if 100 people are lining up to buy 10 apples? Well, I mean, you could say $20 an apple. Some people might think that's a ripoff. Some people might think, well, that's a really good deal. I'm willing to pay that because I'm really hungry. And, all these other 90 people are going to be SOL because they might not want to pay $20 for an apple. 10 people may not. They might think, you know what, that price is too high. So, okay, this person lowers the price to $18 an apple. And some people be like, okay, you know what? Yeah, that's fine. I'm getting really hungry, and maybe $18 an apple is that price. But the point I'm trying to illustrate here is that there are 10 apples, there are 100 people. The person who owns the apple can get away with charging $20 each, and if you have a group of 100 really hungry people, they will likely pay that price for the apple. Supply and demand. Not enough supply to fulfill demand. Okay? So we keep going on, and now you have 100 apples and only 10 people. Well, now you have oversupply, but not enough people to buy up all your apples. So what is going to happen with the price? Well, the price will likely go down. So now you're charging 50 cents per apple because you have 100 apples and only 10 people. You'll probably make the price a little bit more reasonable because you realize the supply over exceeds the demand now. You have way too many apples, not enough people who want apples, so you're going to have to drop the price. These are fundamentals of supply and demand, and I know this is very simple stuff, but going back to this, will XRP Moon, if it's positioned only to be used as a bridge currency, not held en masse? Well, we know that lots of us hold XRP en masse. A lot of us are hodlers. A lot of us are keeping that locked up, stored away on our Ledger Nano S, not touching it until we see the price move higher. We also know that XRP is capped out at 100 billion XRP. Okay, they created it that way. It's not a mineable currency. There are 100 billion. We know Ripple has the escrow. They're releasing a little bit at a time. And so that's a bit of a different part of this story. So let's just assume that all 100 billion XRP is in the ecosystem, just for the sake of this argument. Now, what Ripple is doing is they are getting banks on board, financial institutions signed up to RippleNet, signed up to XRapid to use XRapid technology in order to send cross-border transfers in real time at a fraction of the price at what it costs now. And if you go back to this article here, the MoneyGram article, the Exec talks about just that. Right now we have Nostro and Vostro accounts where you have to pre-fund to have liquidity, but what XRP is going to do is it's going to be that on-demand liquidity, so you do not have to pre-fund accounts. So XRP will be floating around. We can use it whenever we need to make a transfer. But where is that XRP gonna come from? And this is a very key, important part to this question. The XRP is going to come from market makers like you and I. Okay, so before we get into that, right now Ripple is incentivizing partners. So when we're hearing they're selling XRP over the counter to their partners because they want to incentivize them. So right now they're kind of giving them or selling them XRP at a low price in order to incentivize them. If you guys do not know what that means, it's in order to make them want to use XRapid. If you have the XRP and don't have to buy it or buy it at a lower cost, you'll be more likely to use the product. Okay, it's getting like a free sample of something, hairspray. If you go to a salon and they use hairspray on you and they're willing to give you a small bottle, a little bottle of hairspray, you're more likely to use it because, oh, well, I got this, I'll use it. You might really like it, and then you'll continue using it. So then you'll keep going to the store and buying more of it because you really like it, right? So Ripple talks about this on their website, how market makers make money on Ripple. And this was before before. So this was from June 26, 2015. So this is a very, very old article. I believe they were still calling XRP ripples at that time. And it just kind of gives an overview of market makers, the art of liquidity, just some basic concepts. But Ripple actually released this officially. And so I'll link this in the description. I'm not going to get into it in detail, but it talks about, bid ask prices, spreads, directional play, so on and so forth. So you think to yourself, there are 100 billion XRP in the ecosystem. We need to be able to sell our XRP, but if there's so much XRP in the ecosystem, how is the price going to go up? Well, right now, there aren't enough people using XRapid in order to facilitate higher XRP prices. But guys, that will one day change. Okay, we've heard all this news. XRapid partners using XRapid. We're starting to see numbers increase slowly, okay, but there's still not enough volume. And, this all goes towards cryptocurrency regulation. There's so many pieces involved to this puzzle that it makes my mind spin sometimes. But the Working Money channel is here to try to explain it, to try to suss it out so that you guys can kind of understand this a little better. So for example, the remittance market, and we know that Ripple has been hitting the remittance market hard. That's their primary focus right now. Let's use this as an example, and I'm just going to give you guys a really, really simple example for this. So remittance market, this just kind of talks about the remittance market in brief as an intro article. Again, I'll link it in the description. Remittance is the capital flow between individuals in two different countries, typically by foreign workers to individuals in their home country. According to the World Bank, the total remittance market is comprised of $550 billion annually in total flows. Okay, 80% of which are within emerging economies. But let's focus on this number here, 550 billion in total flows worldwide. So just with the remittance market alone, we see $550 billion moving back and forth. Just remittances. Okay, now, will Ripple get 100% of the remittance market? Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. However, maybe one day they will. Just depends. We don't know. This is a process. But for the sake of argument, let's just say that they do. I know there's going to be people who are like, well, Ripple will never get 100%. It's like, guys. This is just an example, so don't poop on the example. I just want to illustrate something here. So let's talk about this. Supply and demand regarding Ripple. With a remittance market of $550 billion annually, and let's say Ripple gets 100% of the market, just for the sake of argument, and let's just say that all 100 billion XRP tokens are in circulation. We know that number is high because we know there are always going to be hodlers, which will make this number decrease, right? You and I all hold XRP, and right now there's only 45 billion circulating in the ecosystem, give or take. People are going to continue to hold their XRP. But let's just say we're not. Let's say all the XRP is in the ecosystem. Ripple has the entire remittance market, just to make the example simple. So if you only have 100 billion XRP in the ecosystem and you divide it by the entire remittance market of 550 billion, XRP would need to be at a price of $5.50 in order for this to occur. Now, this is not a perfect example because we know that some transactions will occur in January, others will occur in June, others will occur in October. And so, we're going to recycle that XRP here and there. But that is just to give you an idea of when there's this kind of volume and this kind of supply, the price of XRP will have to be $5.50 per XRP in order to facilitate that. Okay, so that's over a 1-year period, but let's just say for the sake of argument, Ripple gets more than just the remittance market. There are so many other applications for XRP, transferring value worldwide. And so as market makers, we are going to need to fill the market with XRP in order for these transactions to occur. The volume isn't high right now, but let's take a look at another example here. I'm just throwing a random number out. So let's say that Ripple has more than just the remittance market. Let's say it's in the future, and now more transactions are going through XRP every day. It's building, the volume's building, more liquidity is needed, people are hodling their XRP, and in this reality, in a day we're seeing $756,955,655,514 going through XRapid in one day. But look, the supply of XRP has decreased. Some has been burned. People are still hodling. And now there are only, this shouldn't be a dollar sign, by the way. This is the supply of XRP. There's only 71,450,300,000 XRP in the ecosystem. I just threw out random numbers here. But the point I'm trying to make is, with the demand being high and the supply being low, now these are huge numbers, but the demand is higher than the supply, XRP will command a higher price on the market in order to facilitate said transactions. This works out to a $10.59 XRP. If there is this much demand and only this much supply, you divide this into this, and that's essentially how it's going to work. Now, this is all happening very, very fast, okay? And these prices will fluctuate all the time. You know, it might go 1059, 1061, 1041, 10, you know, and it'll fluctuate. The bid and the ask price will fluctuate depending on the demand that's flowing through the market at fractions of seconds. This is why you have market prices. You can set a limit order. You want XRP to hit $11 before you sell, or $10.40 before you sell. You can choose that thing. Being a market maker, you have the XRP. But the point is that having the XRP is that commodity that these companies will eventually need down the road to successfully complete their cross-border transactions and their money movement from A to B. Okay, we've heard numbers in the quadrillions. Ripple is essentially targeting small companies first and building their way up, making that ecosystem grow. So, despite the fact that XRP will be used as a bridge currency, and you think, well, it'll be bought and sold really quickly, yes, it will be bought and sold really quickly, but think of all the money that flows through the world on a daily basis. It's the volume that's going to dictate the price of XRP. And you and I are going to benefit because you and I will be selling XRP on the open market at whatever that price is going to be, at whatever time that's going to be. Okay, this from David Schwartz. I wanted to show you this tweet here. Well, actually, it wasn't a tweet. It was from a question and answer. Crypto Eddie asked David a question about a year ago. David responds here, for XRapid to work, there needs to be sufficient liquidity between XRP and the local fiat currency to permit fiat currency to be bought and sold as needed. A lot of this liquidity is already being provided organically by market makers, i.e. you and I. XRP will just mean that instead of probably trading almost exclusively with speculators, i.e. you and I right now, market makers will increasingly trade with market takers trying to source liquidity through XRP. And that'll be you and I in the future. So we are already in a market, and there are already exchanges that are sourcing liquidity for Ripple partnered banks like Bittrex, Bitso, Coins.ph in those corridors. He continues by saying, if needed, Ripple would consider employing third-party market makers to provide additional liquidity where existing market making is insufficient. I have a feeling that for a lot of you guys, you know, this picture is too big to wrap your head around because, you know, we're looking at numbers in the billions, you know, trillions, quadrillions, and we're talking about speeds that are going to be super, super fast. But what we have to remember is that so many transactions are completed on a daily basis, by the hour, by the minute, by the second. I wouldn't worry that XRP is quote unquote too fast in order for you and I to make money. Guys, remember, it is a question of supply and demand. Remember the apples. Right now we're in this kind of a situation where there's too much XRP in the ecosystem and not enough people using XRP. But guys, one day we will be in this circumstance where there's going to be so much volume and companies using XRP and just not enough XRP to go around, which will make the XRP price go higher because demand and perceived value of XRP will increase. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.